The Freedom Flotilla, the Knights of the Impossible. Our lives are the sum of our choices. I've always had a soft spot for the Mission Impossible movies. You're probably familiar with this modern fable, where a handful of shadowy heroes unite their strengths, talents, and ingenuity to accomplish the impossible. With grit, determination, and unwavering faith, they overcome enormous obstacles, transcending themselves to serve a cause greater than their own. What I particularly love in these kinds of stories is that suspended, almost surreal moment when human solidarity and the convergence of ordinary little talents manage to outsmart even the most Machiavellian plans. That moment when humanism, however fragile, triumphs over the cold machinery of manipulation and cynicism. But what if Mission Impossible wasn't just a movie, but a raw, brutal, urgent reality? Imagine Ethan Hunt at the gates of Gaza. No swift rescue, just a catastrophic humanitarian crisis trapped in a vile blockade. In plain terms, what if fiction collided with reality? Spoiler, nothing would happen. Peanuts, nada, it doesn't exist. Only in darkened theaters exist only in darkened theaters. When faced with reality, all those Hollywood stunts and twists seem painfully hollow. No magic gadgets, no low-flying helicopters, just deafening silence in the face of horror. And a damning realization. Complicit governments turning a blind eye. Media moving on. And us, citizens of the world, frozen, powerless, stuck in our collective hypocrisy. Let's be clear. In the face of the powerful, cynical interests, the chances of survival for the people of Gaza seem tragically slim. It's enough to lose faith in humanity. I might have stopped at that grim idea if I hadn't heard about the Freedom Flotilla. The glorious grassroots idea? Good heavens, I found my real-life superheroes of the impossible, believe it or not. The Knights of the Impossible do exist. They're not in a movie theater, but on the deck of a ship. Not in fiction, but in history, the real kind. Let me tell you the small story of the Freedom Flotilla, the most fitting title for what gesture could be purer than this modest, yet determined endeavor for freedom. It's the story of a humble sailboat, the Madeleine, which left Catania on June 1st, 2025. On a humanitarian, non-violent expedition toward Gaza. On board, 12 humanitarians. Among them, Greta Thunberg, a worthy representative of the ecological cause. Rima Hassan, French MEP, a doctor, journalists, and volunteers from all walks of life. An incredible coalition of goodwill, a miracle. 12 real-life heroes, not trained agents or action movie stars, just ordinary people, each with their own skills, story, and life. People who, like so many others, could have looked away. Instead, they risked their countries, their knowledge, their talents, for one simple, stubborn idea: to bring hope where so many have given up. To prove that human dignity can break through walls. All united by one conviction: humanity cannot turn away from suffering laid bare before it. And solidarity is stronger than technology. The mission, a wild gamble, to break an inhumane blockade. It's no big deal. It's just an impossible mission, the kind we love. No gadgets, no explosions, just courage and conviction. In truth, the Madeleine wasn't just carrying aid. It bore the weight of millions of silenced voices. Of course, critics will once again have a field day. It's just a publicity stunt, just selfies.
Ow.
Even a media heist. Fine. If it's a heist, then it's Spaghiara-style pure craftsmanship. No violence, clean, precise. And if it's a mere PR stunt, then it's the PR stunt widescreen, please. Then, it's a masterstroke on the global board of cynicism. In any case, it casts a powerful light on a silent tragedy, a spotlight on human disgrace. Another recurring criticism: it's just the Love Boat. Please, let me protest. Peanuts. Saving lives is not entertainment. Entertainment is on TV talk shows. Out here in the vast Mediterranean, a new chapter of courage is being written. Our 12 small pawns, with modest means, are playing a high-risk strategic game, because facing the world's most sophisticated and most moral army is no pleasure cruise. This is delicate work. Everything must be orchestrated with precision. No room for distraction or improvisation, Because here, it's not just the elements they're confronting. Their greatest weapon. The moral strength of their commitment and the truth. The world is watching. History will remember their best insurance. The popular legitimacy of these brave figures. Everything is designed to maximize visibility, stir conscience, and turn the entire world into a stakeholder in this humanitarian effort. Because mass, international mobilization is our greatest weapon. Breaking the blockade isn't a whim. It's a moral imperative, Dan. A demand of international law. The mission? Clear, simple, direct. Deliver symbolic, modest aid. Infant formula, flour, rice, diapers, medical kits. In other words, break a cruel blockade that deprives innocent civilians of life's essentials. But let's be honest, the real impact isn't in what the boat carries. It's in the silence it breaks, the inhumanity it exposes, the world it shakes awake. To remind us that compassion knows no borders, that political courage means saying no. It's no to extremism, no to blockade, no to horror, no to death, and above all, yes to fraternity, peace, and life. Carried by the words of Eliphas Levi, nothing resists the will of man when he knows what is true and wills what is good. The Madeleine set sail. It crossed international waters, guided by the right to peaceful protest. Without violence, without hate, only faith in humanity, international law as its compass. Sometimes actions speak louder than words. And when it comes to action, our fellow citizens honor us with something rare and beautiful. A pure, graceful, selfless gesture. The art of giving everything, risking everything just to save a single life. You won't find this kind of gesture on TV sets. It's rare, precious, quintessentially human, and yet it elevates courage and generosity to their finest. With this humanitarian mission, we are worlds away from today's rampant greed. Resisting the noise of illusions and manipulation isn't the hardest part. What matters is the truth of the heart, the kind that withstands all deceit. And that truth is stronger than anything. Rima knows it better than anyone. Each life is precious, incredibly precious. Life, that improbable miracle defying all odds, inspires us to resist. The truth is simple. Every life matters. So thank you. Thank you to Rima, to Greta, and to this joyful international crew. Human dignity owes you a great debt. Thank you, Greta, for your unwavering call to nature. Remind me of a quote I love. We can only command nature by obeying her. Of course, thank you, Rima, for honoring the France of human rights. In Europe, of which you are now one of the bravest voices. Let us forget no one. Every member, every contributor deserves our recognition for their lesson in courage, humanity, and commitment in the face of horror. Their story is one of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. But then, from out of nowhere, armed forces stormed the ship. We must unequivocally condemn this act of piracy in international waters and note the appalling silence of our governments and the awkward silence of mainstream media, rarely inclined to support the breaking of a vile humanitarian blockade. The flotilla may not reach Gaza, but its message has already circled the globe. Hope lives on. The mission continues. That alone is a clear victory. Across oceans, borders, and cultures, the truth found its voice. It touched our conscience. It won our hearts. To save lives, to save Gaza, the journey ends predictably in prison. But you can stop a boat, not a movement. You can jail bodies, not an idea. Because this act, this gesture of courage, is more powerful than any warship. For Rima, this imprisonment marks a strange apotheosis. How can one be free in the darkest of cells? As if paradoxically, it's within four walls that she finds her freedom. Rima has that gift. How to celebrate life at the edge of the abyss. Easy. Use the last scraps available to write. Just a piece of packaging. Letters of life and hope. Free Palestine. The artist's final bow. A cry of life. A leap of faith. A mad or fearless act. Doesn't matter. It's the divine relief of a promise kept. The feeling of a mission accomplished. In a burst of enthusiasm, you might want to cry. Checkmate. But in truth, it's just a beginning. The mission goes on, And next time you watch Mission Impossible on the big screen, remember, here, in the real world, real knights of the impossible, fight every day for life and for hope. And that's the kind of heroism we need most. Let us quote Dr. Raphaël Pitti, one of the most respected humanitarian doctors who's seen it all. In Gaza, it is our very humanity that is at stake. I completely agree. I can't shake this essential question. What is the meaning of all this madness in Gaza? All this carnage? A messianic occupation fantasy? Thirst for conquest? Some supposed privileged truth? These narcissistic messianic utopias, these self-declared truths, they don't hold up. Normally, I stay out of politics. But this isn't politics. It's something deeper, something more disturbing. If there is any truth buried in this mud, it must be universal. Maybe we've entered a dark age. It's a time of global moral collapse. And this penultimate truth, if it exists, would be a test of our humanity. It's an ultimate test of our sense of mercy, of our ability to show dignity, of our free will and what we do with it, because we always have the choice to do good. Even in the worst circumstances, the real danger is the arrogance of believing we're above all rules, as we can choose to be an example, to respect the laws of life, to defend the rules of ecology, law, and peace. And maybe that's the true dilemma of our survival. But I digress. Back to Earth, or rather, the sea. Gaza has already paid a huge price for its right to self-determination. And simply, its right to live. Strange as it may sound. Sometimes what should go without saying needs to be shouted out. And here's another self-evident truth. Whatever the path piece is the only viable alternative for Gaza. And, by analogy, for all of humanity. One thing is now non-negotiable. The humanitarian blockade is an aberration, a monstrosity, a shame, must end. The anecdote of the small olive branch that closes our story is both symbolic and powerful. It holds the promise of better days nestled within its leaves. It's the story of Rima, who, before leaving, managed to take a small olive branch. It became a solemn promise, to return one day and plant it back in her homeland. A silent, personal way to force peace, and perhaps with a little luck, to break the curse. The latest news is disastrous. It's like an entire school class is being wiped out every day, babies dying for lack of formula. AFP journalists slowly fading away, suffocated by deprivation. It's not genocide, no. It's worse. Even King Philippe of Belgium said, "This is a disgrace for all humanity." Still, a glimmer of hope warms our hearts. Guess what? The flotilla, of course. The Handela flotilla, on its 37th attempt, defying all odds, sets sail again, this time to bring infant formula. Extraordinary courage. A team of 21 people of diverse nationalities, including 2 highly competent and well-informed MPs from La France and Sumas. Since Netanyahu, humanitarian work has become a high-risk endeavor. France's Foreign Minister, Jean-Noël Barrot, tweeted, "What you're doing is irresponsible. Gaza is dangerous." Travel advisories apply to LFI too, a response that only highlights the government's desperate detachment. But now is not the time for polemics. I hate politics, and now I know why. Humanitarian urgency runs on its own calendar. We have no right to be late. Handela is now the final human bulwark against the unspeakable. Let's thank these knights of the impossible whose very existence we nearly forgot, lost in the sheer scale of their mission. And as for the little Handela himself, someday I hope to see him finally turn around, maybe even give us a well-deserved middle finger. But for now, the Handela presses on, and we wish it good fortune. You can count on us and our humble support. Promise, we won't give up.